Hello, and welcome to Cosmic Dreams Sanctuary. This self-hypnosis script is titled Receiving Extraordinary Messages from the Body. Discover the meaning of abduction, ET, or dream marks. This is for those who experience the red grid mark phenomenon, experience other so-called abduction marks like scoop marks, scratches, bruises, dots, intuit that there is a deeper meaning or cause to these experiences, and are willing to encounter the cause of these experiences for the purpose of healing, insight, and transformation. The suggested outcomes for the script are an understanding of the cause of the marks, an expression of any consent boundaries that want to be expressed, such as I don't want these marks, or I don't want these experiences, or yes, I do, and I want to know more, something like that. Reception of any messages that are presenting themselves through the markings, and a commitment to any actions that are required or desired after encountering the deeper understanding that you hold within your intuition and your body about the nature of these marks. And finally, all of my self-hypnosis scripts have a suggested outcome of embodying greater peace, love, joy, purpose, and connection here and now on Earth, which is really why we're doing this and why I am inviting you to go on a journey within yourself to discover the messages that may be hidden within these rather strange experiences. So how this works is that I will offer the self-hypnosis experience script soon. So now is a really good time to get into a posture of relaxation. You can do this anywhere in any way that is meaningful to you, but it is recommended to have an experience where you feel really safe and can relax into the experience of connecting in with your deeper wisdom, connecting in with the wisdom of your body. So I'll introduce this topic and introduce the nature of the hypnosis. I will give you a series of instructions that you can choose to follow. So this is what hypnosis is. This is self-hypnosis because I'm training you into seeing what I'm doing and giving you the opportunity to say yes or no. You have to choose to show up and go through the work of having the experience, of making sense of the experience yourself. You might feel like you're making it up, and that's okay. You might feel like you're not deep in trance, and that's okay. You might not see anything at all, and that's okay. Actually, you can make things up. It's an experience of imagination as much as anything. This experience is something like a light nap or daydream. And you can use any faculty of inner knowing, of sensing, of simply intuiting that makes sense to you. So when I use the words I invite you to see, you can actually open up in any way that is meaningful to you. All you really need to do is to trust yourself in some way, shape, or form, and to express your intention to gain the insight or healing or transformation that you're seeking related to the marks on your body. And you can do all of this simply by being present with your breath and let the experience happen. So don't worry, I know that the topic of abduction marks, of red grid mark phenomena, of these other strange dreamlike markings on the body is terrifying. I know that, and I just need to say that this experience here and now is all about healing, insight, and transformation for you to embody greater peace, love, and unity consciousness here and now. If the experience doesn't serve that purpose, it, for me, is meaningless in a way. And this sense of having a strong intention for healing, insight, and transformation, for embodiment here and now on Earth, is really effective and a good motivation to move through some of the scary aspects of our own experience. It's important to know that you are in control of your experience, that your subconscious mind will only offer what is reasonably acceptable to your conscious mind. So you won't have an experience that is terrifying or world-shaking unless your subconscious mind already thinks you can handle it. So that's why you're here, is your subconscious mind thinks you can handle it. So welcome. Self-hypnosis is like a nap or a daydream. You will not lose control. You likely will not go into a state that is of deep sleep or something like that, something like we imagine stage hypnotism to be like. This is really a conscious nap or a daydream experience that you are choosing consciously to participate in. Right? You don't need to be a skilled visualizer or to have definite memories or anything like that to have this experience be meaningful. You don't even need to have specific beliefs about the nature of your experience or the nature of self-hypnosis. You can simply use any of this time for exploration, for play, for healing, for discovery, or whatever else you need. The self-hypnosis series is offered in the tradition of mystic Christianity, Mahayana Buddhism, dream studies, CE5, and quantum healing. These are the foundational traditions out of which Cosmic Dream Sanctuary is offered. Cosmic Dream Sanctuary is ministered by me. These scripts are written by me and freely offered. I'm Daniel Rekshan. I hold a bachelor's degree in Western liberal arts tradition, a master's degree in East-West psychology, a certificate in hypnotherapy in the spiritual counseling modality of depth hypnosis, a certificate in beyond quantum healing, and I'm ordained as a minister in the Universal Life Church. I offer consultations and sessions by donations. For more information, you can go to cosmicdreamsanctuary.org. All right, so getting into how self-hypnosis works, let's start with the terms of this offering. It's pretty important to define what level we're working on and how we're working. So this series is focused on psycho-spiritual, imaginal, and dream level. This series is not therapy, treatment, or an intervention for physical or mental health. There may be implications with physical and mental health based on your spiritual experience, but this is something like prayer. This is something like internal experience. This is something like dream. Right? This series is practical and based in experience, but it is not definitive, nor is it universal. Continue if you feel like you have a rapport with me, with this offering, and continue only so long as you find it beneficial. Any hypnosis experience here is offered as training in self-hypnosis. And in fact, the guided meditation is a process of self-hypnosis because at every step of the way, you're saying yes to those instructions, to those affirmations. Finally, all of the experience in hypnosis and guided meditation do arise from the imaginal and psycho-spiritual aspects of the mind, and therefore must be interpreted like a dream and not as evidence for historical events. So we're dealing with abduction marks, with strange marks that might have appeared on the body, something like stigmata, with dream marks or other such markings that come to the body. And we might want to go in and understand what actually happened. How did I get these, right? So the experience that you'll have in response to the hypnotic suggestions may actually present either a very mythical understanding, a very spiritual understanding, or a very historical understanding. It really depends on who you are and what the marking is. But even in the case of the concretized physical understanding, the invitation is to know that this isn't perhaps a memory of a historical event, but that you can use that memory, that experience to help investigate what may have happened to you. Right? The basic theory here is based in Western psychology. The understanding is we'll go into a trance state. That is relaxation. That's something like the dreamlike, nap-like experience. And once you're in that therapeutic trance, which really is just something like meditation, something like being relaxed, if you've eaten too much turkey after Thanksgiving, you know kind of what that sort of open state of relaxation might be like. In that state, we will present instructions and suggestions and affirmations. Some of these instructions and affirmations will be to recall the nature of the marking or something like that. And some of them are to integrate, as like integrate these memories in good ways, that sort of thing. So the understanding is that when you're in this trance state, you're more susceptible to suggestions and affirmations. Some of the theory that we're working with comes from depth hypnosis. We have an idea of energy and power and concept. So there is this sense that any issue can present in a few different ways. One is through energy flows. One is through a sense of power and a sense of disempowerment or something like that. And another is through concept. So we'll work with each of those in the hypnosis experience. I may or may not call it out, but the case of energy really shows up in soul parts integration, right? So we understand that as traumatic events happen, part of us splits off and gets disassociated, and the other part that's in the body feels a little depressed or something. And so the work here is to invite both of them together. The invitation of coming together really requires that part that has split off to feel really safe. And in this case, with the abduction marks, with the dream marks, with the red grid mark, whatever marking of the body, you may feel really unsafe because you might not understand what's happening. And so there's a couple ways to work with that. And one is through working with any entity attachments. So this is working in the power domain of that energy power concept situation. There may actually be something in your body that is from elsewhere. This might be an implant or something like that. Oftentimes, people report feeling sense of implant in the body or something when there's a mark, that kind of thing. And so we'll work with consent processes and establishing energy protocols to clear the body if that doesn't work for you, that kind of thing, to deal with these attachments and to detach those that don't serve. Right. And so the concept part of this has to do with how you might understand it. I know that our consensus worldview really thinks of stigmata as the closest acceptable marking of the body from supernatural means, and that's really not accepted. So to say that you have marking from ETs, like some people have bruise prints of like three-fingered hands on their body. Some people have these regular grid marks on their body, things like that. Even though that seems so clear that it is a paranormal, an extraordinary, an extraterrestrial, a spiritual force reaching out and touching your physical body. It's clear to you, it's clear to me, it's not clear to the world. So we'll work with some of the concepts to help relate with that. Some of the other theory comes from beyond quantum healing hypnosis. This is the sense that our experience is really beyond expectation. You are really connected to all, and that a lot of the experiences that come up have to do with past life stuff, have to do with soul contracts, origins, and things like that. So in this way, we will open up to extraordinary or beyond imagination and expectation kind of causes to these experiences. We'll look at a sense of consent. Is there consent, and at what level, to have your body be marked in such a way? If those consents are out of alignment with what you want, we'll establish boundaries and express that consent in a way that is effective to you. Finally, the last bit of theory comes from dream studies. This is the notion that life is like a dream. We are not saying that life is made up or a simulation or fantasy or something like that, but it is dreamlike in nature, meaning that it is conscious in some way, shape, or form in response to intention and awakenment. So understanding that we are all one in the mind of the dreamer, and that insight and intent transform experience. We can look to like a recurrent nightmare as an example, right? So you might have a recurrent nightmare. If you set the intent to awaken to the dreamlike nature of your experience, you become less afraid of the nightmare monsters and more capable of choosing to encounter them. When you choose to encounter them and hold that intention, you'll discover that those nightmare monsters transform into sources of wisdom, healing, and insight in your dream experience. And so we see that that happens here now in the waking experience when we relate to the nightmarish monsters that might actually be marking the body. Right? So we'll talk a bit about the experience and have some concepts offered that may be of assistance here and now. I want to establish credibility as a source of this script. I want to say that I have experienced something like abduction. I'm an experiencer and contactee. I now understand these things to be something more like contact than abduction, because at least in my case, I found that even though some of my experiences were terrifying, some of my experiences I felt out of control, and it took me actually decades to open up in my heart to the underlying knowledge I held and my intuition around these things, even though it took decades to do that, that those initial experiences unfolded because of my own consent at a deep level, right? So the experience of kind of the typical abduction experience and things like that. I remember as a kid, as a teenager, I looked for marks on my body to see what, if anything, was there. Was I being abducted? Can that explain the experience? If I had a mark, at least I could say, yes, here's a physical example of the mark, right? But I hadn't. I didn't have experiences of that. What I did have, though, are the experience of these moles on my face. I have experience of two other like body experience. One is a skin cancer, a basal cell skin cancer, and that came up on my back. And when I looked up where in the acupuncture system that related to, I got the information. It was where the etheric body attaches to the physical body, and that really helped me understand my nature as starseed. So if you're interested in that, you can explore the starseed self-hypnosis script. I talk a little bit about that. And so that was really a marking of the body that was cancerous, that I felt out of control with, that had a message, right? And I had to go through a surgery to have that removed through my body. So I know kind of what I'm talking about in terms of the shape and size of the request I am putting, or invitation I'm putting before you, right? I understand what it's like to be terrified to go to sleep at night. I understand what it's like to have a mark on the body you don't want to consciously acknowledge. I understand what it's like to have to go through an experience to be present with it. That feels like surgery, right? For habit to be removed. I also have another experience of being marked on my body on my left arm after looking into the magic mirror of Dr. John Dee. This is a very bizarre experience, and I use a lot of different techniques to gain insight and messages from there. And I have a lot of that information out on my YouTube channel, Cosmic Dream Sanctuary. It's under the Book of Galactic Light playlist. So you can get more information about that. And again, that was a terrifying experience. I was called by my doctor, who looked at it the day before, this infection thing, saying that I likely had a blood clot and I might die that day. So, I went to the doctor. It turned out to be an infection of mysterious infected ancient blood that seemed to be transported into my arm, right? So I have an understanding of what it's like to relate to a medical institution, to relate to other people who stand inside the consensus worldview and outside the consensus worldview, about gaining insight about the messages that are present in your body, right? So I just wanted to share that because I know that these marks that you experience, you wake up perhaps and see these marks on your body, and where do they come from? And you do some research and you discover, wow, these may be expressive of alien abduction. These might be expressive of spirit contact or some other thing that's terrifying. It's like, and you probably want to push it away, right? You probably want to push it away. And that's fine. But I can tell you from personal testimony that if you allow that experience to come back into your consciousness, you can release a tremendous amount of energy, and you can connect in with wisdom that is at many levels deeper than what your conscious mind is is fearful of. It's going to be much better actually for you to go through this experience of connecting in with the wisdom that your body is presenting than to keep it pushed away. I remember for several weeks I go, God, I know there's cancer on my back, but if I simply even look at it, if I ignore it, I developed rituals of drying myself and never looking at it, right? Because I didn't want to see it, but I knew what was there, and that's such a knot. And I invite you to be open to the notion that you can be clear. You don't have to hold back this fear anymore. You can simply acknowledge, yes, there's extraordinary marks on your body, right? Because you can acknowledge that because you have the capacity to establish clear boundaries with whatever's causing these things. You have the capacity to discover whatever wisdom that you yourself encoded in them when you chose this life and this life path, right? So that was a little bit about my own experience. I want to dive into the description of the phenomena that we're working with. Like I said, there is oftentimes these markings on the body. They sometimes come in the form of dots. They might look like little spider bites. They might be in a very particular pattern. There's sometimes bruises, there's sometimes scratches, sometimes they have extraordinary qualities like being long, three-fingered handprints, right? That sort of thing. They have the qualities of being an exact triangle, right? They have the quality of looking something like cuneiform. They have a quality that goes, oh, that looks like it could have a physical cause, a natural physical cause, but there's actually, there's some aspect that you just can't deny has a mark. And that's one of the more terrifying aspects to it, is that there seems to be an intentionality in the messaging of it. And the mind goes a little crazy in trying to relate to that, actually. And so this is now a time to open up, right? I think we've covered most of those different forms. There will be other types of marks. Scoop marks is one. There's really as many as there are types of people, there are types of marks. I talked a little bit about the stigmata as expression of things that seems somewhat relevant, although I don't know how. So I'm just bringing that into this discussion to open that space. So the body and subconscious memory, it's really important to know that the body really does know what's up, right? The body knows, the body is wise. The body wants to be healthy, as healthy as it can be. The body knows, and it will tell you things, right? The feeling of feeling sick after you've eaten too much food or had an experience, like consumed something you shouldn't have, that experience of being sick is a message from the body to you. Right? Your body holds memory, like any therapist knows, any massage therapist knows, anyone who's done any body work knows that, sometimes when you get massaged, right, there's memories that pop up and out, and wow, I had no idea, I didn't remember that, but the body stores memory and wisdom in itself, and that you can simply tune into that. The way you tune into that is through the subconscious mind, right? So the subconscious mind is sometimes a challenging or a problematic phrase. I use it out of convenience, right? The subconscious mind is a lot. It's a lot. And it relates to the conscious mind. It is a mediator between the body and the conscious mind. And that comes up through intuition, comes up through dream symbols and other things. Most people that I've ever worked with have an intuition of what has happened. Right. And it's like my intuition that the spot on my back was cancer, even though I have all these moles that have like star patterns, right? I think they're beautiful now, right? I used to not, but I think they're beautiful because they reminds me of the stars. But I had this one spot that was growing, and I had the intuition, oh, this is a cancer because I don't want to live here on Earth anymore. That was the intuition. What am I supposed to do with that, right? So I kept pushing that away. but you have an intuition. It's expressing itself through your subconscious mind. You're here now because that intuition guided you here. So you can just say yes to that and follow through with this experience as you might find to be meaningful. Another concept is entity attachment in the body. So this comes from our understanding from depth hypnosis, which is actually based in core shamanic frameworks from Michael Harner and the core shamanism sort of movement out of the 1970s/80s anthropology scene, right? Studying everything. But we find out that lo and behold, there are things like demons, there are things like implantations, there are things like possessions and things like that. I think of them, you can think of them as parasites of the energy body, right? And so these might actually be very, very physical experiences in the case of ET implantations. In terms of the implants, people see them as like little grains of sand. They might show up on x-rays that are unexpected. There's been doctors that take these things out and discover, oh, whoa, there's not from the earth, right? They might be tracking. We don't know actually what they are, but there's something like an energy attachment. And so in this work, what's really being invited to is come back to the understanding that even if these are expressing physically in the form of like microchips being implanted in the body, or there may be some sort of astral experience, energy experience, or whatever that's expressing itself in the mark, that you can work with it. You can work with it like anything else and get to the wisdom that's being presented to you from your body through your subconscious, because your body wants healing, it wants integration, it wants you to understand what has happened to you. It wants you to do that so you can work with it, and you can work with the mind to say, I either consent to this experience or I don't consent to this experience. I would invite you to have an informed consent experience, right? I would invite you to have an experience of receiving the message of these marks and saying yes or no to that ongoing relationship with whatever entity put those in your body. And that may actually be yourself. It may be extraterrestrial beings. It may be something else. We don't know, but your intuition likely is guiding you to this understanding. So the last concept is around consent expressions and free will. So we understand with dream studies that it is effective to see that you are personally responsible for your entire experience, because life is like a dream, right? This comes from the quantum healing tradition as well, is understanding that everything that happens here on Earth is an expression of your free will, and that there are cycles of like victimization and victimizer. But when we go to a deep level within the self and the soul, we discover, wow, that actually was pre-programmed, right? Like I had the idea, the arrangement, let's say, between the victim and victimizer. It flip-flops oftentimes between lifetimes. And so when we have an experience of being highly victimized, we can, you can use it as an invitation to go to the deeper level and say, how did I make that choice? I'm personally responsible for it. Not personally responsible for the experience from the point of view of the egoic persona, of the human animal, but of the deeper consciousness that spans lifetimes. Right? And this is maybe far out for some of you, but this is really the domain that we need to be working at. Because if we don't work at this domain where our knowledge comes from, where our source comes from, where a lot of our wisdom traditions are pointing us to, then we'll be stuck in the cycle of victimizer, victimized, that sort of thing. And so the way we work with this is to do consent expressions, right? I do not consent to abduction against my will. I do not consent to marking of my body against my will. And oftentimes you might actually need to have an informed consent level, right? You may or may not be able to shift that unless you understand where that and when that consent was initially made. But we can, however, regardless of where the consent contracts exist, we can express intention and manifestation and work with that. So we can say, what do I actually want? and then invite that. And then there will be a process of unfolding in our life to work with these experiences. So we're getting closer to the experience. I want to run through what we'll do together to come to an understanding of the cause of the marks. We want to work with the reception of any message that comes with the marks, a commitment to action, and an expression of consent. So those are all the things that we will do in this journey. The way we do this is establish an intention. So this is the pattern of any self-hypnosis that is offered here, but we'll establish an intention, and that intention is usually for healing, insight, and transformation. According to the principles of non-harm and the cosmic law of one, meaning it respects free will and is aligned to service to others as opposed to service to self. We ask that it is of benefit first to yourself so that you can be of benefit to others, right? And finally, we ask that this experience unfold according with the express intention for the embodiment of peace, love, and unity consciousness here and now on earth. After we set the intention, which that is what we've just done, we move into establishing trance or a sacred space. We do that through relaxation in the body. We invoke the higher self, the subconscious mind, the divine aspects of ourselves to be present. We go through a process of grounding, of clearing, of energizing the field, of creating a feeling of protection, of connection with sources of guidance, and harmonizing the body, the mind, the spirit, coming into coherence with all of these different aspects. Then we'll move into the journey portion of the experience that usually uses something like an imaginal portal. We express the intention there. You'll observe the response of the expression of intention, and then we'll have, after the observation, an integration of that experience. Then finally, we'll close the session through inviting a final experience, something that's meaningful to you, something that is arising out of the moment. We'll express gratitude for the experience. We'll invite the perfect integration in the perfect way. Then we'll commit to any actions that have arisen or want commitment. And then finally, we shift the attention back to the body and waking consciousness. You don't actually have to remember any of this. I'm just simply sharing this so you can feel comfortable in going deep within your relaxation, knowing that there is a sort of guideline or trajectory that you don't actually have to hold right now that I'm holding, and then you can afterwards study it and see how that works for you. So without any further ado, let's shift into the self-hypnosis experience. So I invite you to recover your posture of relaxation. This might be lying in bed. This might be reclining on a chair. This might be lying on floor. Wherever you are, however you are, just tune into deeper comfort and safety. Make sure your phone is off vibrate. Make sure any sort of doors or windows are addressed or closed. If you need to, you can pause this recording and to tell your family or friends or whoever you're living with to give you some space and time. It should be about 20 minutes or so, or 30 minutes of experience that we're asking for. But as you start to come into this posture of relaxation, I invite you to begin a process of mindful breathing, of relaxation through the body. And you can do that simply by breathing. And we're going to do a deeper process of relaxation through the body in a moment, but I want you to feel really, really, really safe here and now. And so we're going to run through the establishment of sacred space before we do any relaxation or deeper relaxation. So right now you're simply invited to be present with your body as you breathe in and out. Observing the feeling of breath as it moves in and out of your body. You might observe that in your nostrils, in your mouth, or in the flow of your belly. You might observe how relaxation follows that observation. I'll invite you now to sense or feel or imagine white light that comes from the center of the galaxy. This is the white light of your highest self. This works according to the principle of non-harm, and it is full of energy and connection with guidance and love and anything you need. So you can imagine this as white light or rainbow light or light, the color that you need, coming from the galaxy's center through the natural portal of our sun, the center of our solar system, and to the top of your head. Then invite this white light that is ultimately you as enlightened activity, right? It's you as enlightened activity, into the top of your head, and let it flow through your head, through your third eye and your forehead, through your throat, through your heart, through your solar plexus and all the organs of digestion and metabolism, through your sacral, through all the organs of reproduction and elimination, right? Through the base of your spine, the root of your spine. And imagine or sense or feel that this white light flows all the way down to the center of the earth, forming a taproot that allows you to communicate energies from your body to the earth, from the earth back up, just like a tree receives nutrients and energies from the earth. And just like the roots of the trees really create a solid ground, that's what we're inviting now, is this deepening connection with Gaia, with earth. As you do, I invite you to let go of any sense of anxiety or tension or distraction or concept or anything that doesn't serve you now. Let that go into this flow of white light, all the way down to the center of the earth, knowing that the earth receives all sorts of things like dead leaves and compost and poop to be transformed into new life force energy. So know that when you let go of these things, the earth can unleash the energy stored within and create beautiful, beautiful things. So even now, I want you to start a deepening of that process, a flow of this white light. We're going to flush your system of anything that doesn't serve it. And you can simply do that by saying yes to this experience, by saying yes and being present with your breath. Imagine this flow of white light, this perfect white light from this galaxy center to the sun, to the top of your head, through your spine, all the way down to the earth. Imagine it flowing very, very strongly. And the things that are holding on are just sort of letting go, right? And there's actually intelligence in this flow of white light. It goes exactly where it needs to go. And you might feel this in terms of like a vibration or a humming in a part of your body, perhaps even where you've experienced marks, right? And anything that does not belong to you, that is not of your essential nature, that doesn't serve you here and now, is now filled up with this white light, and this white light is now flowing around it so very, very strongly that it cannot hold on. It cannot continue to be attached. And it just flows down out of your body into the earth, and the earth takes it and does what needs to happen to it. If there's anything holding on into this torrential flow of white light, just amp up that flow of white light until it let goes. And if there's anything that's still stuck, I want you to say, "You are not welcome in my body. I am a sovereign being, and my free will choice and my express consent around what happens in my body is what happens in my body. And if anything is holding on, if there's any attachments to anything that's implanted or connected or attached to any of the frequencies or consciousnesses that are related to these markings, right? I want you to say, you're no longer welcome. If you do not serve my body in a good, kind way according to the principles of non-harm and the cosmic law of one, nothing is welcome in my body that does not serve my highest good according to those principles. And therefore, you must leave my body now. The kindest and most gentlest way for you to leave my body now is to go into this flow of white light and be taken into the earth. And so let that flow of white light accomplish. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to think about anything. You just need to be present. And you can be present by being with your breath as this white light does what it needs to do to clear your body of anything that doesn't serve your highest good. And now, let the earth give you new life force energy, right? Let it come back into your body, right? Up this taproot, up the root to the base of your spine, and let this new life force energy enter your body and go to where it's needed to go. And call in your own essential energy, your own color and frequency, and let that merge with this new life force energy. Let the frequency of your soul, of your essence, harmonize with its life force energy from the earth. So you don't need to provide anything except for your presence. Gaia gives you this energy, but you tell it what color and frequency and tone to be simply by being you. And then allow that you energy, that new vital energy, to go to those places that were once inhabited by those things that did not serve your highest good. Let that fill up. You don't have to be modest here. You can receive exactly what you need. Infinite energy is available to you here and now. So receive it. And let that go to all places where you need it, past, present, and future, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, parallel timelines, all these different places. Let that energy go and help you. And then let the white light energy just come back from the earth, up your spine, up through the top of your head, and then let it surround you, this flow of white light from the center of the galaxy through your body to the earth and back up through the top of your head, and surround you into a perfect sphere, an egg or cocoon of white light that serves to protect you. And I want you to ask all of yourself, this white light, this sphere of white light, all of the beings that can support you in this process, to make this a practice of establishing connection with white light and protection of the sphere of white light. You can commit to that now, right? Knowing that this white light sphere will be the perfect boundary, the perfect barrier between you and the world. It admits that which has your highest good as its intent and acts according to the principle of non-harm that can serve your highest good, but it rejects anything that has less than that intent. So it's a perfect permeable boundary. It can receive love and keep out those challenging experiences that you might be relating to. So just breathe in that space and say, yes, I want that to happen. I want my energy body every day, even without me thinking about it, night and day, before I sleep and as I wake, to establish this sphere of protection of white light around me so that I can have experiences of peace and love and embodiment here and now. Thank you. So just be with your breath for a few moments, knowing that as you apply attention to your breath, you are harmonizing your body and mind, and that you are forming a bridge between what has been happening in your bodies, your emotional, your physical, your spiritual bodies, and you're harmonizing all of that. Feeling so protected and cleared. Right? I want to now invite you to receive wisdom from your body. And you may have a part of your body that has a message for you, right? And this might be a part that's been marked, maybe a part that was feeling energy in that white light experience. And so you can start to hone in on that place in your body that might be in your mind. And before we ask for wisdom from that part in your body, I really do want to invite a sense of support from your whole self. And so we will invite a guide, a teacher, an ally, an aspect of yourself, your highest self, a representative of your highest self. This might come in the form of an angel, an extraterrestrial being, an animal, an ancestor, a frequency, a color, a sound, or some other thing. So we're calling for that here and now. And as it comes forward, just welcome it into your presence. You may have this connection right now, and you might not. And if you don't, just simply imagine something. Imagine a guide, a protector, a teacher. You might even just imagine that white light that was really helpful a few moments ago as your guide or teacher. So ask this and intend for this to be, because you are a sovereign free will being in a world of consciousness, and this whole world is something like a dream. And so I invite you to dream up this experience simply by intending it, by expressing that intention and being open to whatever happens. So intend and ask that this guide support you in the process of receiving messages from the markings of your body. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so now, feeling supported by this guide, feeling very connected and clear, protected, I want you to open up to that marking, right? So just acknowledge that marking. And I want you to do that not by working with the marking itself, but with the part of the body that was marked. So this could be the body, the skin under which those dots appeared. In my case, it would be the skin around the cancer spot. This could be the skin that's marked in some way. And just say, thank you for being part of my body. Thank you for receiving this communication. Thank you for holding this mark, and thank you for going through the process of healing, of holding this knowledge and this intuition for me. Thank you. And extend that gratitude to your entire body and subconscious mind for holding this intuition of what has happened to you. It has held it for you because you haven't acknowledged it yet. And you might even start to generate a sense of compassion for yourself, for your body, for your subconscious mind, for having to hold back what might appear to you as nightmare monsters or something like that, some unknown cause, some mysterious darkness or whatever. But it's been holding that back so that you can have a peaceful experience in your consciousness. And it's really taking some energy. So just acknowledge that work that your body has been doing, that your subconscious mind has been doing. Thank you. Acknowledge that your guides have been supporting you in this process. Thank you. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And when I reach the number 3, you will receive the message that is present within this marking, the message that is present within the intelligence of your body and subconscious mind. And this might be a memory of how this got there. This might be an understanding of the causes of this marking. This might be an understanding of the karmic patterns that are related to that part in your body. This might be memories from your life, might be memories that you don't remember, past life memories, missing time memories. This might be images of bizarre experiences. This might be otherworldly visions. This might not make sense to you right now as a conscious mind, and let that be the case, right? Be open to it, because your body is about to communicate to you in the language that it knows how, which is through subconscious imagery, which is often challenging for the conscious mind to receive. But the conscious mind can receive this subconscious imagery simply by being present here and now with what emerges. So 1, calling on your guide to support you. 2, calling on your body and subconscious mind to present this message or communication that supports or is associated with this mark. And 3, receiving this message or communication about the nature of this mark, this extraordinary mark on your body. You might be receiving this information in imagery, a telepathic message from your guide, a memory, an intuition, or some other way that is meaningful to you. Just be present with that. You can do that simply by breathing as this experience unfolds. Explore with your inner senses, the inner sense of sight, seeing if where you are is dark or light, sound, if you hear anything loud, soft, pleasant, unpleasant, feelings, explore your feelings, how it feels to be in your body. Are you warm or cold? What your body feels like in this space. You might be receiving information through inner senses of knowing, of emotionality, of perceptions that extend beyond the imagination and expectation. And so you can simply be there present. And be present with your breath as well, knowing that as you breathe in this mindful way, you harmonize your body and mind, and that breath can actually be a bridge between the subconscious mind that holds these intuitions for you and your conscious mind that yearns for integration with those. And then I want you to ask your guide to help gain clarity. Ask your body to be even more clear. How did you get these marks? You might receive the answer in the form of intuition you completely understand, or an experience you completely don't understand. Whatever you're experiencing is fine. Just asking your body, subconscious mind, and guide, how did I get these marks? How did I get these marks? What are the causes? Again, you might receive the answer in the form of memory, of intuition, of sight, of sound, of taste, of touch, of change in the environment. You might be magically transported to a situation. You might simply know, how did you get these marks? And then just take a few moments to be with the breath and receive that knowledge and intuition even more deeply. I want you now to ask your body, your subconscious mind, and your guide if there's any information you need in order to express consent and your desire around these marks. Any information you need, any information around soul contracts or communications between you and other entities, any information you need to make a informed decision as to how you direct your sovereign free will here and now. Receive that message again in the form of a telepathic message, a memory, a feeling, a state, a change in the environment, or some such thing. And do so as you are present with your breath that serves as a bridge between the intuition of your subconscious mind and the experience of your conscious mind. And now, with all this information, with all this clear channels to your intuitive self, your subconscious, your body, your connections with guides, the messages underlying these markings, I want you to take a moment to check in with your whole self to see what you want out of this experience. Do you want a shift in any pattern of relationship with the causes of these marks? Do you want to say, no, I don't want that experience anymore? Right? I want you to explore that, to explore the notion of wanting connection with entities or beings who are communicative in ways that are supportive to you. These might be the same beings and they might be different beings. They might be aspects of yourselves or they might be some other entities. But I would actually invite you here and now to set the intention with your sovereign free will to relate with only those beings who work according to the principles of non-harm, who respect the cosmic law of one, who act in service to others, those beings who are wise and well, of the fifth density and higher, meaning that they embody unity consciousness. I would actually invite you to invite contact with them, and I would invite you to disinvite contact with any entity, any cause of these markings that does not work according to the principle of non-harm or is at a lesser vibrational density than the fifth density that is in service to self or any such thing. So I'd invite you right now to say no thank you to any of those entities that are not clear embodiments of unity consciousness, of love, of service to others. And I would invite you now to say yes to those beings who are of fifth density or higher, who act according to the principles of non-harm and can be of benefit to you here and now. You can do that simply by saying yes. Yes, I want this. And if you have any other consent expression right now, I would invite you to do that. You can ask your guide to amplify that consent expression. You can say that in your own mind, in your heart, as you breathe with me. We'll take 3 breaths together, knowing that the expression of your consent, when expressed in this way, will flow to all levels of your being, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, past, present, and future, in parallel timelines. Now, I also would invite that this consent expression extend beyond this lifetime to all aspects connected to this lifetime. So breathe with me now as you express consent in a way that is meaningful to you. And then I want you to check in with your guide and with yourself to see if there's anything else that needs to happen here in this space to receive messages or meaning related to the marks of your body, to express your consent or desire as to what happens with your body, or any other thing that is meaningful to you. Check in with your guide, with yourself, with the space. And then just let that happen as we breathe together, allowing our breath to be a bridge between the subconscious and conscious mind, between the body and all the different aspects of your being. Thank you. I want you to take a few moments of gratitude for yourself. Thank you for going through the work, going through the darkness, the dark doors, to open up to the things that seem scary, to open up and to take some of the weight off of your subconscious mind, off the weight off of your body by receiving the intuitions that they've been holding at bay. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Helps you be much more present in the world and embodied. So thank you. Thank you to your guides and all those beings who assisted you today. Thank you. Now I'd invite you to just establish any commitments to action that you might have, that you might be inspired to do. That might be a commitment to a daily practice of energy hygiene, like we experienced with the white light sphere of protection. Commit to even thinking about that every morning and night. Commit to connecting in with the energies of the universe and with the earth. Right? Commit to establishing a practice of expressing your consent. You might commit to do these things because you understand that they help you in your experience. And commit to being compassionate with your own body by going into any messages that it may communicate through these markings, or any intuitions it might be holding related to these markings. Be compassionate to your own body by receiving that intuition or message. So thank you for those commitments. I invite you to take a few breaths now to come back closer to your body, to allow your breath to move any of the life force energy from the earth that is vibrating with your tone and frequency to the places you need. Right? So this is an infinite source of energy. It's really good to fill up your body with its own life force energy. And so you can do that now at the end of this experience to start inviting your consciousness back in your body. You may actually feel really different in your body because of the experience you just did, and that's totally fine. The way to work with that is through grounding practices and through envisioning this as your own life force energy, this white light vibrating with the tones of your own frequency, filling up in spaces that you need. So thank you for doing that. Thank you. And now just coming back completely to your body, you can wiggle your fingers or toes, you can open your eyes to invite deeper presence with your waking consciousness. I'll talk about a few next steps after this, a few invitations. And I'm offering this image here. This is the image of Earthrise. This is the Earth rising up off of the horizon of the moon, taken by an image of the Apollo astronaut to remind you of where you live here on Earth. You're connected with this beautiful planet who is actually conscious and who actually can support you, much in the same way that your subconscious mind supports the conscious mind. Gaia supports us all. We're not different than her. So welcome back to presence in your body. Welcome back to communion with the consciousness that you are on Earth. So be at peace. I offer one-on-one sessions by sliding scale donations. So if you connected in with the practices here and want to go deeper using the modalities of depth hypnosis, quantum healing, meditation instruction, spiritual counseling, or dream work, then I invite you to schedule a free and no obligation consultation with me. So for more information, go to cosmicdreamsanctuary.org/sessions. There's also the opportunity to participate in group sessions and services. Again, donations are invited but not required. You are welcome to drop in. You do not need to do any of the readings beforehand. We cover everything in the session. After the live broadcast of the session, you are invited to a discussion circle on Zoom. You can get to this information at cosmicdreamsanctuary.org/groups. So on Wednesday nights, we do a study and practice group session. This deep dives into one topic associated generally with hypnosis or dream, and we'll have an experience much like we had today, and then a sharing circle afterwards. And then there's also the fellowship services that involve music, reading, contemplation, and a message based on a weekly theme. We've been working on the mind training slogans from Mahayana Buddhism that help us train our minds to be present and to be of service to others. So the study and practice group is on Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and the fellowship service is on Sunday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And again, you can get to that information at cosmicdreamsanctuary.org/groups. Thank you for being with me. I offer this image of the flower of life, understanding that our human society, our relationship to each other can be something like this, that we might have an experience of being a circle, but when we come together, there are beautiful, beautiful patterns that emerge. And so thank you for doing the work of deep diving into your own body intelligence, and so that you can be present here and now and join in this sort of flower of life pattern that can emerge out of society around you when you are embodying peace, love, and unity consciousness. So once again, thank you.